Hey guys, oh no, not again. Hey guys, and welcome to Broad Street to Britain with me, Dave Shaw, and as ever, I'm joined by some fantastic guests. So let's get straight into them with Alex Carr. Alex, how are you, my man?
Good evening, Dave. Doing wonderful. Glad to be joined by these two very handsome men below me. And just excited to be here. Just excited to talk some Phils. It was a fun All-Star break, but I'm ready to get back to it.
Absolutely. We've also got another regular, Stuart. Stuart, how are you, my man?
Dave.
Oh God!
Come on, you've got 30 seconds. Hit me with it. I'm ready.
30 seconds.
All I'm going to say is that it's beating Spain isn't for everyone, is it? So
Wow.
if people aren't aware, Spain through the European qualifiers on the whole tournament only lost to one team. That one team was Scotland. So we're pretty much European champions. Scotland are the unofficial European champions. So we're waiting for a trophy still from UEFA, but I'm sure it's on the way.
Dave, he had that locked and loaded.
I imagine as soon as
There was one
went
in the chamber, and he did not miss.
Nope. Came right out.
I'm sure he had that locked in from the moment that Spain got the winning goal on Sunday. I think he was drinking our English tears. Look, well done, Spain. They were the better team all tournament. We worked so hard to get back in the game and just sat back and let them have it. But hey, that's what we do. But hey, Southgate's gone. All the best to him. Great manager. Great guy.
It was a great run. It was a really great run.
We got to the final playing some bang average football, but we believed for 10 minutes when we got the equaliser. We believed that we were going to kick on. But hey, look, Southgate did a fantastic
You know what team will never disappoint you, Dave?
Well,
I don't have an answer.
Scotland, because we prepared to be disappointed anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, look, it's a whole new ball game now. We're all going for the World Cup, and you got to get there in the US. But 48 teams qualify, so if you don't qualify for the World Cup, you got some serious.
Oh God!
Serious issues.
I'm getting Alex out there and Scotland qualify.
We'll all be out there. Hey,
I'm ready.
Let's bring in our third and our final guest. You may recognize him if you listen to the podcast. You'll recognize him. You recognize that voice if you're watching. Of course, you recognize him. It's NBC Spencer Mckercher. Spencer, how are you, buddy?
Good, my guy. Yeah, dude, honored to be with Stu and Alex too. We were just saying before the show started, it's been. I feel like it's been a while, and it's been a month since the last time you and I have even talked on the phone and stuff. So it's been a while, but yeah, man. Like Alex said, I think it was a good All-Star break, but I'm ready. I have the itch now, man.
It's been nice. I've completely shut away from social media and baseball in general for a few days. It's been nice to, especially after the Euros as well. It's been nice to just recoup, catch up on sleep, watch it from a distance. The home run derby I watched the next morning, the All-Star game. I watched the highlights, but it was just nice to have a break from everything and just now let's talk Phillies. Let's get back into it. Let's get everybody listening and watching revved up for what's going to be a second half of the season. Who knows? Who knows where we're going to be at the end of October? But before that, the 2025 schedule has dropped. We're looking to run it back. We're going to look to take some fans from the UK in the middle of June out to Philly for when the Phillies will play the Mets again and have a little London Series reunion, but this time over in Philly. So that's the plan for us. It's interesting. Next year's schedule, what sticks out is that we play 21 American League games in a row, all the way through July and August.
I didn't even notice that.
From the 18th, straight after the All-Star break, in fact, 18th of July, Angels and the Red Sox and the Yankees and the White Sox and the Tigers and the Orioles and the Rangers before we then play the Reds.
Wow,
we are hitting the American League hard.
Wow.
21 consecutive American League opponents games. That's
well noticed, Dave.
I
didn't pick up on that at all.
I didn't notice that. Brought to my attention. I can't claim that. I can't claim that. Looking a little ahead, next the run-in is quite interesting. September looks like an interesting.
September looks rough. Milwaukee, Mets, KC, Dodgers, the Diamondbacks. That's some
Miami twice, which
The
is always,
Marlins twice.
Yeah.
which is always rough for the Phillies. But I'm sure everybody will be making early plans for next year to obviously get over to the States. If you're in the States, it's a great back-to-back trip in San Fran and San Diego, which is in the middle of June. When is it? June? Or is it July? It was July. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. San Francisco and Padres back-to-back. Like, that's the beauty. And also Toronto and Pittsburgh back-to-back on the road as well, which is there's some good little road trips there.
Yankees as well, back to back. That'll be quite fun, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yankees at home, Red Sox. Red Sox at home, Yankees in New York.
Yeah,
and then Chicago technically because they're going to the White Sox, but it's the South Side. That was terrible. That was awful. Sorry, guys.
Good Lord.
So Alex and Spencer, you guys had your eyes on the All-Star game, being that nice, comfortable time for you guys. Enjoy it. Everyone, the Phils guys did well, though. Well represented. The whole build-up around it was great. You know, I loved Bryce Harper, the outfits, the guys. The guys brought that Philly vibe to Texas, right? It just looked like they're all having fun. They all stayed for Alec Boehm's home run derby. By the way, Boehmer, incredible.
He did so much better than I think anyone expected him to. 100%. And I couldn't be more thrilled. And I thought it was so cool how the Phillies chemistry was getting, it already gets some national attention, but how much national attention the chemistry was getting was actually really cool. And I think that a lot of people got to see the real camaraderie between some of these guys, particularly with like Trey's diving stop and like with all these things. It's so cool to see that play out on the national stage. That was really awesome.
Yeah, Spencer, Phillies were getting the Fox were lapping it up, but the genuine feeling around baseball, especially when they're all mic'd up in the infield, I was looking at some of the comments from the MLB posts and the MLB Network posts, and it generally was good. I'm not used to this, seeing some good reception for the Phillies, for the players. This is all getting too weird, Spencer. What's going on?
It's great. Alex touched on it there. It's crazy that like they're starting to get more national games too. Like as NBC, we've lost a bunch of games here because the national broadcasts are picking them up. And I think people are starting to realize the camaraderie on this team is special. And you hear that. I mean, that's the thing. The guys have been talking about it since spring training. They've been talking about it since last year. They all love each other. And I saw the Ben Verlander, I saw he made a video talking about how like no one kind of stayed besides Tyler Glasnow. Yeah. Oscar Hernandez won the home run derby. But the boys, Ed Hoffman, Sanchez, Strum, Hart, they were all there.
They were all there.
Just rooting their guy on, and then Glasnow is the only Dodger there. And that just speaks volumes, I think, to see the national spotlight kind of get put on this team in terms of, hey, they're not just the best team in baseball, but the locker room is probably the best in baseball and probably one of the best baseball seen in a very long time.
I wonder if it makes the players slightly jealous as well, thinking, oh man, those guys are having a blast, they're having a fun. It may be quite intimidating as well that when teams roll Citizens Bank Park, they know they can see it now firsthand. What a close-knit unit this team really is.
Guys cite that all the time. That's the thing. When players sign with the Phillies, minor league deals, major league deals, whatever it may be, they all just talk about the camaraderie and how that clubhouse is so inviting and welcoming. And I think that's, not to segue us too early here, but I think that's why when you talk about the trade deadline, if you're David Dombrowski, you have to be really careful because it is the last thing that you want to mess up. That chemistry is clearly what makes this team so. I mean, there's a lot of things that make this team special, but that thing is paramount. It feels like, and it's very cool to see it play out on a national stage. And I don't know, it's just so fun to watch. Who doesn't enjoy watching a group of guys being dumb with each other? It's really, really awesome.
and it's also genuine, and that's also what I love. It's nothing forced. It's nothing fake. They're just guys having, and that's what I love, especially if kids are watching. That's how baseball should be. You're having fun. And when you're having fun and enjoying it, that's when you play your best baseball.
And they take it seriously still, right? Like they were there at the home run derby, yes, having fun and rooting guys on, but they were also like, they really wanted Alec Boehm to win. Like, and that is the, I think that's the way that you play. They call it a kids game. Guys always call it a kids game, right? But it's a kids game that's being played by adults. And I think they toe that line perfectly between accessing that fun, but also taking it seriously. And I think that's, I don't know, it's really cool.
During the All-Star game, they actually mic'd up all the Phillies players as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, especially see like Trey Turner come out. So, because everyone thinks Trey Turner is always a bit quiet. But you actually thought I saw like a proper personality from Trey Turner as well. They were kind of joking with each other, teasing each other. I thought that was really cool to see. So like, everyone knows what the chemistry as well. So that's why like they mic'd them all up. It was really cool to see that. So it wasn't just Bryce who normally gets all the media attention. It was everyone. So it was awesome.
And shout out to Jeff Hoffman for having the guts to rock a white suit and shorts on the red carpet.
Still,
that dude was killing it.
It was awesome.
Thighs were out.
Yep.
Love it.
I love Mark Spence as well, like all the baseball cards with the Phillies players. That was so sick.
Yes, that was also very cool.
Also,
and that's the other thing. They were all very different. Like, they all showed their personalities while, like, you know, still, like, Bryce's outfit was really fun, and Trey
Boma
like
had his parents out there with the blazer with his minor league teams.
Oh, just brilliant! And then Trey looked like he just stepped out of a Zara changing room. Like all of them were just like they were themselves. And
it was their personalities and characters, wasn't it? Which is what I really enjoyed. I think I enjoyed the actual build up and what happening around the game more than the game, watching the game. It wasn't a bad game, to be fair. All the Philly boys hit.
Yeah.
Harper got a double. The pitches were lights out.
Yeah.
Sanchez, 2 pitches, 2 outs. Strong 1K. Hoffman got his 1 out. Again, the Phillies were dependable. It was a successful All-Star for the Phillies and sets us up nicely for what is going to be a big second half of the season.
Only one manager's won in the NL in the last 10 years.
Yes.
True.
Who is it, Stu?
Rob Thompson.
Yeah, of course, it's
true.
Topper.
And what I will say, some people are like, oh, they underutilized the Phillies pitchers and da-da-da-da. It's hard to squeeze, 5 different guys into a game where everyone's got to play.
Hey, I'm quite happy with it.
It's hard to be so talented. I get it, but you gotta bear that cross sometimes. And I think that 2 pitches for Chris was all he needed.
That will do. That was the same as they didn't use Ranger, which I was quite happy about as well. It's just let's just keep it as minimal as possible. That boy needs the rest.
Well, he got replaced. He did get replaced, but either way,
it was a big night, Alex.
Yep.
Sunday night. Other than the football, it was the draft.
Oh,
so the Phils went. So we did our big draft preview, which none of it came to fruition.
It never does.
It never does.
It never does.
It never does. So the Phillies in the first 8 rounds, for the first time I think ever, went all batters. And then the final 12 out of the 13 picks were then pitchers. 2 college players to start the draft off in the first 2 rounds. Dante Nori, and what a name this is, by the way, Griffin Buckholder?
Yeah.
Strong. 2 outfielders.
It's a baseball name.
It really is. And the Phils went for 2 outfielders also to start the draft off. Went quite outfield heavy. Alex, touch on these 2 for us. The first 2 picks, Dante and Griffin, 2 college players at that. What are the Phillies looking at there, Alex?
It's very interesting because, and actually 2 prep guys in these first 2 rounds, which is very, it's become kind of more accustomed for the Phillies at this point. Again, we were talking about on, the pod that we did prior to the draft. They have tended to go with best available talent at their pick of late. And that's kind of just been their MO, which I think is a great habit to fall into. That being said, all the guys we mentioned, the board really flip-flopped a little bit, right? Theo Gillen went, probably a good 10 picks, like higher than projected to go.
Yeah, we were expecting him to possibly drop to us, weren't we?
And Brody Brecht fell almost 11 spots from the Phillies, and they did not select him. It was very, very interesting, and I think that, usually when something like that happens, it means that there's probably something that's not out there for public consumption that, the Phillies and many other teams noticed something with Brecht that they were just not a fan of. So, it is what it is, but at that point, I'm really... I was concerned at first because I had not heard Dante Nori as the guy that had a lot of helium coming into the draft. A lot of national media outlets kind of had him off their board just because he's old for where he was playing. He's 20 playing, or I guess 19 turning 20. Now is turned 20.
Yeah, this is the older end of the draft.
He's older in terms of a prep bat. But this is a guy that very clearly has a baseball body. He looks, looks the part, as it were. Same with Burkholder. What I love about both of these guys, and what ultimately I think I am satisfied with the Phillies draft class, but what I think I love most is they're big lower half guys. And that's exciting because, I am somebody who really thinks that power should be generated from the lower half. And not only that, but that's really how you kind of sustainably generate power. And I'm really, really happy with both of these guys. They are speedsters. They are, potential five-tool guys. Obviously, each has their own hamartia that, the Phillies will try and iron out as they go along here. But yeah, satisfied with both. I think that at 27, it's really, really hard to find something that is considered a value pick, right? You are not exactly, you're not given the greatest bonus pool, and nor are you kind of given that pick capital that allows you to really, monopolize on what cards you're dealt. But I think both of these guys, they're big swings, right? It is a big swing, and whether they miss or they hit, they did play to their strengths in this draft. And that's not to say that Nori and Burkholder are both, their strength. But what is their strength is the 12 of 13 guys in the later rounds that are college pitchers, right? This is an organization that has so much confidence in their ability to develop pitching, so much confidence in their ability to help guys that maybe do have some command troubles in college, just iron that out quickly and get to the majors, on a pretty decent timetable. Again, we point to a Ryan Kirkering, we point to George Klassen, we point to
even Painter. If he wasn't injured, Painter would probably be in the majors now as well.
Well, and yeah, Painter was also, that's an anomaly. I mean, that's a high schooler that just tacked on 6 miles to his fastball and just kind of
took it and ran.
But but what's really, really cool, you get a guy like Marcus Morgan in the 9th round. Marcus Morgan pitched at the same school as Brody Brecht, by the way. But Marcus Morgan, a guy that, coming into maybe last year's draft class, was projected to be like a day 2 pick or like even earlier. This is a guy with really ballistic stuff, had some real command troubles this year at Iowa, but like, he's a very talented player. And if the Phillies really can iron out, some of the kinks like they think they can, this is a guy that, reliever or starter, is going to move quickly and is going to be able to help the big club in a very small amount of time. Same can be said for guys like, Cameron Hill, Titan Hayes, who is just an absolute madman. There's a lot of really awesome guys to point here, lots of great personalities. But ultimately, the Phillies, while they didn't select any pitching in the early rounds, did play to their strengths by waiting till later rounds to kind of pick up the guys that had outlier traits that were on their board. And, they are going to take some swings.
Now, Stu, this was your first ever time, as we discussed last time, covering the draft, being involved in the draft, looking at the draft, following the draft. Yeah. Now, you've got a big responsibility here, Stu, because you're going to pick our guy, the podcast guy, to follow through his journey to the majors, Stu. We're going to hand you. Now, we've been pretty good in the past. Derek Hall was a very early pick back in the day, although he got there. We're claiming we're counting it, Alex. He made it.
What a guy.
He made it. Stu.
Yeah.
Who? Give us a name. From your first draft experience, who are you choosing as our UK Phillies guy? Who's the guy?
Criteria doesn't matter, Stu.
Was there one?
Just what are you feeling? Where's the aura at?
Is it one called DiMartini? Carson.
Yes.
Carson DiMartini.
That's such a cool name. That's such a cool name. That's like a James Bond name, a DiMartini.
Yep.
I love that.
Also, I did do some research. I found out there is a link between Nori and the Phillies before this. I don't know if you know that.
Ooh, go on, then.
But apparently, Nori's grandfather is the one who recruited Kyle Schwarber to Indiana. So there's a small link there, yeah. So
all right, that's a bit. Yeah, it's a nugget.
But DiMartini. Oh, go ahead, Spence.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think I saw a picture with Nori with Kyle when he was at Indiana or something like that. Which
yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
it's really cool. That is really cool. And DeMartini, Stu, is actually a pretty good pick. I'm not gonna lie. The Phillies do not usually draft corner infield, power first kind of guys. And DeMartini had a labrum injury, but like really, really, I love his swing. Oh my gosh, really quick bat, little bit of an uppercut. He's definitely a launch guy, but he's exciting. And the Phillies don't usually tend to pick that, kind of player. So they must have seen something that really piqued their interest here. I'm a fan of his. I think that's 21. A good pick. He was a Virginia Tech man.
It says from Virginia Tech. Say he plays. I thought he was shortstop, but it says third base here.
I think they announced him as a shortstop, but he's an infielder. He profiles as a corner infielder, definitely not a shortstop. But probably has the arm if the labrum heals. Probably has the arm for third base. I'm not so sure about the glove, but that remains to be seen. What I do know is he has some real offensive capability. He is really he's strong, he's thick, and he has bat speed to spare. It's an exciting swing
as well. He's a tall lad.
I watched a little bit. Apparently he struck out quite a lot, but there's definitely a lot of potential there for sure. But the name alone is just worth the pick for me.
The injury, a lot of scouts were kind of thinking that the injury was kind of making him fish outside of his zone a little bit. So we'll see what the Phillies do with him. But
very, very quickly, last one on this. And by the way, that's Carson DiMartini.
You heard it here first.
Here he is. He's our guy. What happens to these guys now, Alex? Do they now stay in school? Do they stay in college? Do they go straight to Clearwater? What happens?
They will sign, hopefully, and then they will finish what they need to finish in terms of if they have schooling stuff to finish, they'll probably do it outside of some guys need to finish a couple credits here or there, depending on when they're getting drafted, if they want to finish their degrees. But then they will head to wherever the Phillies choose to assign them. Usually they stay at the complex for a little bit. They get, kind of in shape, and then they get their assignments to wherever they may go. Usually college guys will either start in like the FCL or just sometimes go straight to Clearwater. But I would imagine most of these guys are gonna start in the FCL, particularly the arms. They'll probably spend some time in the lab, the Clearwater pitching lab.
This is the
that
new
we've heard
multi
so much about
lab, right?
Yes, which listen, I have never been, but I have heard lots of really great things. Obviously, with what they do, it's a lot of biomechanics. It's a lot of kind of just ironing out deliveries for guys and getting their mechanics in order before they get their first taste of pro ball. And we're gonna see what happens. It's really exciting. It's more college position players than they've had in most prior drafts in the early rounds, at least. So some of these guys might move a little quicker. I mean, you're looking at like Carter Matheson, Carson DiMartini, as we mentioned, John Spikerman. Spikerman is a guy, I saw something that Brian Barber said. He was talking about how they view him as a high ceiling guy, which is very interesting to me because Spikerman is a guy that is very power light, as things currently stand, very power light, had a hamate fracture, which is usually a bit of a red flag. Although Aiden Miller also had one, and here we are. But Spikerman had a hamate fracture, got through it, and was like, I think, pinch running towards the end of his season. And they really view him as a guy that has ceiling, which is fascinating because certain college bats, you kind of view them as finished products after a little while, and you think that they're going to move really quickly, but I don't know. That's going to be exciting. So these are 3 college guys that they took in the first 5 rounds that I would imagine are probably going to move, maybe they start in the FCL for a couple of games and then off to Clearwater probably.
Right. So we'll keep an eye on their progress. We'll keep an eye as we do with Rincones, but he's now on the 60-day IL.
He's rehabbing right now. So
he's rehabbing.
Hopefully should be back soon.
Not keeping a close eye. They should be on him. Which is great news.
Not your fault.
Which is great news because he had reached AA before he went down, and was starting to hit really well. So
he started the season hot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was looking really good. Like I was getting is Gabriel, on the verge, especially with the outfield troubles we've not troubles, but the outfield. I don't know. It's like, are we gonna have our first British Phillies player? But it could still happen.
Would he be the first ever, Dave? Do you know?
For Phillies, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
For the
I
Phillies,
did not
he
know
would
that.
be. And he was on this podcast when he was first drafted. He's ours.
There you go.
Anyway, what a first half of the year. 62-34, the second best in the franchise history. The best record in baseball, topping nearly all the rankings. 8.5 game lead over Atlanta, who have got problems of their own right now. Spencer, for you, what out of many, what has been your highlight of the first half of the season from the Phils and personal as well? Because, of course, you're on the ground, you're there pretty much every home game. You've seen the park packed. For me, even watching on TV, the energy from the park and the fans has just been insane. I've had some serious FOMO, seeing the players rising to it as well. Being there, Spencer, like day in, day out, it must be incredible.
It feels like a dream still. And it just has that feeling that it's kind of the third time's the charm, right? It's everyone in the stands, everyone, there's been, it's funny, it's July, June. There's been moments where I'm like, oh, that was the loudest moment I've heard the ballpark. And then Trey hits a home run in like the seventh, and you're like, okay, wait, no, that's actually and like, a home run to give the Phils a little bit of extra insurance. So to go back though, I think right now the thing that stands out the most, and I know this is the very boring answer, but it's the starting pitching. The fact that you can go out there and you have Christopher Sanchez, who it's kind of one of those like butterfly effect things. If they somehow sign Yamamoto, right, he comes to Philly. Christopher Sanchez is probably not on this team, right?
Great point.
Christopher Sanchez is probably not playing for us, and and then you even go, the one I was bringing up the other day was, God forbid, say 2018, 2019, they get Patrick Corbin and Manny Machado instead. And think about how different this trajectory.
Can you? I don't want to imagine.
This trajectory could have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just going forward though, I mean, the fact that you have Aaron Nola who's going to try to go for 20 wins, right? We have Zach Wheeler that will probably do the same. Ranger Suarez, I'm assuming he's going to be fine. The lower back tightness and stuff, I think he's pretty much okay. But once he gets back going again, the starting pitch has just been unbelievable to start the season. And I'm looking forward to it. Knock on wood, everyone stays healthy and they can push us into September and October.
Do you think they're going to be a little bit more cautious with Ranger, especially just out the All-Star break? Because the good thing is we have got and hopefully Tyler Phillips can keep up his. I think we're going to see him possibly this weekend as well. But again, another great story from what we've had this season. But we are quite fortunate where we have got the bullpen, we have got the backup. We can ease him in if we have to. Do you think that's the approach they'll take with Ranger?
For sure, and even with Wheeler too, with the back tightness. As well.
True, yeah.
It's the exact same thing, right? They want these guys healthy for the end of August, beginning of September, especially when the schedule, especially after that, we have one more West Coast trip with Seattle, LA, and Arizona. Probably post that trip, we'll see these guys kind of ramp up a little bit more. But this doesn't mean to panic, right? There's no panic. You want these guys to be safe down the road, and if that's what Rod Thompson and the entire organization decides to do, then that's fine.
Absolutely.
I think, it's crazy. We were talking about it the other day. So when Tyler Phillips started on Saturday, he's the 8th different starter that they've used. The Braves and the Dodgers lead the league with 12 different guys that started for them.
Wow. All right.
So when you kind of put that into perspective a little bit, it's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we have been on the healthy train again, knock on wood, everything we can do to keep that going. But it's crazy to think about that, Phillips was only the 8th guy, and then, you have Mckercher making a spot start on Sunday. So,
but at this point, Spencer, it's like, I feel like it's not a coincidence, right? We were talking about this on the podcast, I think about a month ago. At this point, you can't really call it a coincidence that the Phillies have been, again, I'm knocking on every piece of wood in my office right now, but
exactly.
It can't be a coincidence, right? They have been, and I feel like this is something that the Phillies are actually prioritizing in an age where starting pitching is dying. Aaron Nola hasn't been, again, knocking on every piece of wood. Aaron Nola has been the most consistent starting pitcher in Major League Baseball since he debuted. He has not been seriously hurt or missed. I think there's a stat out there that's like he hasn't missed back-to-back starts since like 2018, 2017, something like that.
Yeah, because I think 17 he was on the IL for like, but it was a 10-day trip. I think he literally missed 2 starts and that was it.
It's unbelievable. It's like he is, and again, for anybody that was, you know, guffawing at the number that Aaron Nola got this offseason, that plays a big role. And you're seeing it this year in how the Phillies are managing to keep their guys consistent and ready to go. A guy that's going to come out and give you 6 innings every 5th day, no matter what, has a lot of value today. And that is just the matter of the fact. And I mean, even as he ages and even as things go on, I mean, Aaron Nola is a guy that's projected to age pretty well. So I don't know. I just think that is, at this point, you can't even call it a healthy train. This is kind of who they are. And that kind of rocks.
Exactly. This season ultimately comes down to, well, they've said it themselves. We've got to win it. You know, it's business time. And, you know, I put it out on social media for the show that at this stage, what would you regard as a good season? And overwhelmingly, it's World Series winners, some by 71%. And that's a large vote count, which is going over 500 now. So reaching the World Series got 23%, but nearly all the comments, and I think Peter, I think you met in London, the Irish guy, Spencer.
Yeah.
Unmistakable. His Irish tones. But he said if the season ends in anything else other than a World Series win, we'll be disappointed.
I think the Phillies will be more disappointed than us.
I think so.
I think the team will be more disappointed than us.
Bryce Harper said it's World Series or nothing, didn't he?
They all have said that. I feel like anybody that's been given the mic, particularly on a national level, they say it's that. Like that's it. And you know, they're all unified in that belief. So I think that's pretty awesome.
And I think I love too, you know, everyone's been saying, you know, first team with 60 wins, blah, 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 blah. And Rob Thompson has said it. Everyone's been saying it in the locker room.
Bingo.
So you got John Foley's count of, you know, most successful. What is that season that with behind at the moment? Is it 60?
93 probably.
No, it's not 93. It's
no.
It's It's one in the 70s or the 60s.
Interesting.
I have no idea.
Let me have a look because I want to know what happened that year because it's the record.
Is it a Richie Ashburn year? Because I feel like those were some pretty good ones.
Terrell let me down now. I'll find it. But of course, we're ahead, and it's the second most successful start ever. Well, it's not even a start now, is it? We're sort of halfway through the season. Mm-hmm. It's turning in. But guys, let's take our necks on the line a little bit. Does this team do it, Alex?
I mean, I don't want to give you a yes or no answer because, again, I don't think there's enough wood in the city that I live in for me to knock on and, you know, not feel like I'm jinxing something. But, I mean, this is the definition of the kind of team. They have the intangibles in check, right? They have the talent. They have the pitching. They have the hitters. And if they don't have them right now, they'll go out and acquire them, right? I don't know. It's hard to give a definitive answer because a lot of it is luck and being in the right place and really having the right team and maximizing the capability of the 26 guys you can put on the field. But, I mean, if not now, it feels like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not to say that they can't do it in the future too, but, like, this just, like Spencer said, it feels different. It does.
It really does. Like, I'm nearly certain that we should be there at least.
Oh,
you know, I'm already this close to booking that week and that flight over because
you already took the days off.
The days are off. The flights are lining up nicely price wise, and if not, well, the Flyers and the Sixers are at home during that period. But
can you put?
I want that. I want the Phillies.
Can you put a price on a World Series, Dave?
No.
Well,
absolutely not.
Then get out here.
Broad Street. It was 1976. This point in 1976, he had 60,
what happened in 76?
He had 65 wins at this point. The most
that must have been a colossal collapse.
And in 2015 and 1969, the Phillies won 63 games the whole season. Yeah. So we're already surpassing that. That's incredible in itself. 2015, a season I remember quite well.
That was a pretty good team. That was a pretty.
What, 76?
There were nearly 4 guys that hit like 30 home runs.
Who are we talking? Like, what happened in the playoffs? Like, that team must
I
have
have
been
no
dynamite
idea.
until.
But it's a good pitching staff. It's a good, that's a pretty good team. This is a very underrated Phillies team. I have not heard.
And I'd never heard anything about it until I've seen John's tweets, obviously, and he's saying 1976. By the way, the 2008 team at this stage was on 51 wins. The 1980 team were at 50 wins. We're 12 wins ahead of the 1980 team. But it's the second half of the season. This is when it counts. It's crunch time. Trade deadline coming up. This is where we go straight into a Pirate series. I presume we're going to see Mr. Skeens at the weekend. I imagine Nola Skeens will be the first.
Saturday or
yeah, he'd probably be on regular rest, I would assume.
So yeah, they haven't announced it yet, have they? We got Nola going, game 1. Then actually there's nothing announced after that.
I think it's Nola Phillips or maybe Nola, I can't remember. I saw it somewhere, but I can't recall. But Nola is definitely starting out of the break, I believe.
Yeah. So a big series coming up, trade deadline coming up. There's a few names being bandied about. A lot of discussion, of course. We just saw the A's with Brent Rooker and Mason Miller.
You knew that was coming.
We said it, didn't we?
I said there's something karmically in the universe that's gonna make that series absolute hell, and it did.
Yeah, and it did. Yeah, and we all, as soon as we beat the Dodgers, I just had this feeling that.
All I wanted was the Tyler Phillips win. That's all I wanted. I didn't care about anything else. I was like, house money, give me that.
And I could say that neither did they. Even not in a bad way. Neither did they. Coming off the win on Thursday, I think they were fully checked out.
Yeah, it was house money.
It had that feel to it. It definitely did.
That's the other thing. Tyler Phillips getting on almost quality start and walking off to a standing ovation. 2 games before the All-Star break. Come on, man. Where else does that happen?
Correct.
Where else does that happen?
Absolutely.
Interview with the dad that got me. That was so emotional, man.
Shout out to Taryn. That was awesome.
That
was awesome.
Absolutely. And we saw firsthand Mason Miller. That price tag is going to be high. Yeah. Now, for a reliever who's going to throw 1 inning in a game,
that does not change a darn thing, Mr.
Would you give up Painter or Miller for him though?
I don't think it's the answer of would you give up 1. It's the answer of would you give up both, because 1 is not going to do it. And the unfortunate thing is, I mean, I feel like this team has preached that they don't just want to win. Now that's obviously the overall goal, but they want sustained success. And I don't think that mortgaging, like if they were a different team, if they were, and obviously Dave Dombrowski has made these kinds of moves before, but if they were a team that was like, this is our year, this is the one time, this is the window, this is it, like we are desperate, do whatever you have to win, right? Then I think we'd be having a different conversation. But the fact of the matter is they're not. They're looking to build sustained success. They also, I think that the answer that they're looking for is not just like a closer, right? They're just looking for another arm, right? So I think that if you are willing to trade, you're probably looking at for 5 years, this guy that throws 104 consistently, you're looking at like Painter, Miller, and then probably like one of Justin Crawford or Starlin Caba. Like that's just the fact of the matter. And the A's have no reason to want to sell low on him. Right. And that's just it.
If you haven't already, Destiny Legato wrote an excellent piece of Phillies Nation on this very subject and made some good points. Mason Miller, he's young. He's got a good chance of blowing his arm. He's a bit of an unknown right now because throwing at that speed consistently, it's going to come with some risks.
Well, he had a UCL sprain last year, so it's,
Yeah, I was going to say, he's had health issues before. Yes, he's young. And the A's are in a bit of a situation right now because if they don't trade him and he gets injured, well, they've just blown an opportunity to really cash in, which they're going to need to because they're going nowhere right now. The price tag, are you, as she said in her article, do you want to give up to possible, studs? Because they're prospects. That's all they are right now, until they're in the bigs, until we've seen them for a few years. You just don't know, do you? I remember all too well Spencer Howard. But
at the same time, one thing that I will say is that these are two of the. I mean, I love following the minors. These are two of the better prospects that the Phillies have had in the last decade. I mean, these are players that you watch them like. Obviously, there's a hype train that comes.
Are these Preston Mattingly's farm picks?
Yeah, I mean,
so our draft is.
Oh, do you mean have they been under his regime? Yeah.
Right. So everything that he's done since he's been here has pretty much turned to gold already. So
it's just that these are two players that the Phillies of old do not develop and do not. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. These guys are really talented, but these are two really outstandingly talented players, and it's very hard to say, okay, we will give you 7 years of 2 probable All-Stars for 5 years of a guy that's, like you said, Dave, pitching 1 inning, every couple games, or maybe 2 games in a row and then getting a day or 2 off, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say. For me, it's probably enough. But I see the appeal, obviously.
I was chatting to some A's fans who over here in the UK who said Brent Rooker, great bat, but his defense, you don't want
boring.
it. And he's on the D. He's a DH for a reason. They said if he had better defense, he said it would be a no-brainer.
They haven't even made an effort to put him in the field.
No, they really haven't. Rumors circulating that here we go. Hey, Arizona, is that it?
So close.
I can't say his name.
Rosarena.
Rosarena. Randy.
That's how Spencer. Last episode, I gave them the Jeff Passan patented.
I love it.
Surefire way to say Randy.
And it wasn't.
It didn't work.
Anyway, apparently the Rays listening to offers.
They always do.
He's going to be available. That it's no surprise, but it's funny now how that's come up. Jim Bowden saying that the Phillies apparently having discussions with the D-backs for Jake McCarthy, Hayden Mullins, Lane Thomas.
There's a name I've heard a lot, which would be quite interesting. It would be the biggest redemption story ever, and Alex probably knows where I'm going with this. Dave Robertson is one I've been hearing a lot.
Oh my God! Number 3, round 3. I don't think the Rangers are going to sell.
No,
I don't think that's happening.
I've seen that a lot, and it's like the redemption story would be insane.
That's funny.
But out of those names there, who would be most? Because the pool, we've gone from like Roberts out the question now. Surely it's all gone quiet on him. I don't see. Like we said with the pitching.
You mean Luis Robert, right?
Luis Robert, yes. Yeah. I don't see the Phils going in that direction. I see him going for a knee. Well, not even a knee. Could you see the Phils doing nothing at all?
No.
You think the Phils are gonna? You think the Phils definitely? We see him doing something, right?
Dave won't sit on his hands.
No.
And Bryce won't let him do that either.
But at the same time, too, 2018 Red Sox and the 2024 Phillies, they are looking awfully the same. So I think that if you go and look and see what he did at that deadline, you can go and take a peek at what he'd do here. But
because it's great. I mean, I feel like everyone, I've been tossing and turning the whole thing because like we said, we've been saying it since the start of the pod. This is the year. If you want to go in, do it.
Sure.
But if you stink in 2029 at the end of Bryce's contract or whatever, they can figure that out. But the thing with Mason Miller, Matt Strom and Jeff Hoffman have shown that they are very capable of holding down the 8th and 9th inning. And even Jose's been struggling a little bit. He'll be fine. He'll find it back again. That's not necessarily the need that you need to in terms of giving up Aiden Miller and giving up, Painter, Abel, or any of those guys. So it is. I don't want to be Dave Dombrowski right now. I'm going to be honest.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly with you.
Because it is tough, man. You got to – it depends if this is – and that's the thing. Some of those names, like the Lane Thomas name is out there. That's great. But is he going to – who's going to give you more, Whit Merrifield or Lane Thomas, right? Who knows what could come out of that. So – I don't know. It's tough, man.
Who would you have, Spencer? Like, if you're Dave Dombrowski right now, who would let's put you in that impossible seat. But who would be your target? Like, who would you like?
this is insane, and I know I'm kind of the outlier here, and I know he's on the IL now, but the name that I guess he could have gave up, and he didn't have to give anybody up last year to do it, is Bellinger.
Yeah.
Now, that's a guy that will come in here and make immediate impacts, fit in the lineup perfectly. But like now that contract is just ridiculous, and that you're giving up Painter and Miller and probably Crawford for Cody Bellinger. Now, is Cody Bellinger worth those three? Maybe. We'll see. Is Mason Miller? I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, that was the name, and and then you could ask the heavens if there's a big fish out there west too that it's not going to happen, but we can all dream. So we'll see.
But I think the really interesting thing that you bring up, Spencer, is those, especially with Bellinger's deal, like you're looking at giving up prospects and assuming an $80 million over 3-year deal. Like that's a challenge. That is a real, and the Phillies are projected to exceed the third luxury tax threshold next year. But what about the years after that? Like there's a lot that goes into that. The thing that I think the Phillies are going to look for is who is treating an outfielder with extra years of control as an outfielder with extra years of control, and who is treating an outfielder with extra years of control as a rental outfielder that has an arbitration contract next year where you have an option to pick that up or not. In Lane Thomas's case, I think that's more what the Nationals would be looking for. It's just, giving them a prospect that satisfies a rental price tag as opposed, because Lane Thomas is having not a great year and has been terrible in the field this year. It's just not, whereas like if you look at the Angels have expressed obvious like interest of not dealing pieces that will help them contend next year. And who the hell knows what's going on over there, but I'm not even going to get into that. The Nationals are probably looking at Lane Thomas and saying, we may or may not tender you a contract next year. We're just going to, get you off the books. And the Angels are looking at Taylor Ward and thinking the opposite. So I think you're more likely to go with one rather than the other in that realm of things. But I think when all is said and done, Dave Dombrowski's adding a bat and he's adding a reliever. Right. And I think the magnitude of each of those remains to be seen, but he's not doing nothing. That is for certain.
The trade deadline, July the 30th, 6 p.m. East Coast, so that'll be 11 p.m. for us. So we'll pod live. Yeah, of course it will. But
absolutely,
it's going to be a fun one because there's so many teams in the wild card race who may hedge their bets.
It's gonna be crazy.
I think it's going to go wild. The last 2 weeks of July I think the last week of July is going to be mental. I think all of a sudden you're going to hear more and more rumors. The agents will be getting more and more busy, putting some more names out there, pushing the price tags up. It's going to be a good game of chess between all these teams, which I'm looking forward to. And Dombrowski, he's done it before. Like you said, Red Sox. He's and not only that, but even the first year when we got Syndergaard, that was a short term, but. Wow, what a big... And Brandon Marsh, of course. What two big pieces that was, which got us so close.
That was crazy.
So close.
I feel like we don't talk about that trade enough. The fact that... And I know that there were multiple names being bounced around in like an Ohapi, prospect swap, as it were. Jake McCarthy, who we brought up before, was one of them, right? But it's wild to me that you can have that much foresight as a guy like Dave Dombrowski and say, yeah, this guy will fit really well in our clubhouse. We really like him. Let's go ahead and, do a prospect swap here. And then he becomes like just the guy. And not only the guy, but a great baseball player. Yep. It's unbelievable to me. I like Spencer said, I would never want to be Dave Dombrowski because he's way smarter than me. he's so smart. It's unbelievable.
It's going to be fun. But in Dave, we can trust. He really hasn't done us wrong so far.
That same year, too. That was the Edmundo Sosa trade, too. That same year, like a week earlier. JoJo, love him. That's my guy. But, like, at the same time, you get Edmundo Sosa, who, if the Phillies did not have Edmundo Sosa in 2024, who knows what would have happened? True. I don't think they would be where they are right now without Edmundo Sosa in 2024. 100%.
Absolutely. The Phils start the second half of the season on the road in Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Two tough road series. The Pittsburgh have been going pretty well. They're 500 right now. However, it'll be good for the Phils to get, kick off things with a series win, go to Minnesota, That's a tough series. That's a real tough series. But still, guys, we're predicting a series win here, aren't we? Stuart, we're gonna kick things off right. Oh,
I don't know who's pitching, so I want to see who's pitching. But I think we'll get at least one, probably two. But I'll take two. I'll take 2 out of 1. All right, 2 out of 3.
I presume the loss will be against Scheme. That's.
Assume so, yeah. That's just going to be a tough matchup.
Although didn't we get to him at Citizens Bank Park? I swear we hit. We got some runs.
Played him this season, haven't we?
I don't think they faced him this year.
No,
No, maybe I dreamt it.
Yeah, well,
No.
that does sound like something that would live in a dream because
yeah. Well,
good.
yeah, we'll find out. Alex, what do you say? This series against the Pirates, and then of course big one against Minnesota.
I'm gonna say this is I guess maybe a hot take. I feel like the Phillies are pretty lucky to catch the Pirates where they are right now. I think the Pirates are gonna go a little crazy at the deadline. I think they will really be. They're trying to shape themselves into contenders for sure. Yeah. Ben Sherrington, I don't know. He hasn't done the best job as the Pirates GM, in my opinion, but I think he's hungry. So we'll see what happens there. Same with the Twins. Catching the Twins before they add would be awesome as well. I think series win against the Pirates. Twins, it kind of remains to be seen. They're pretty good, and they're pretty hot right now. If Royce Lewis is healthy, I'm scared. But we'll see. They're good. Phillies are better, probably. But, we'll see. I'd be very satisfied beginning the second half 3-3.
Yeah, the Pirates,
whatever denomination that
the
is.
Pirates have won 4 straight coming into this series. Just a game and a half out of the wild card.
Yeah, they're hot.
I imagine there'll be a heavy Phillies crowd at the Pirates game, wouldn't there?
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, always. That's.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list for me. I would love to do that series. Have you been, Spencer?
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
That park is gorgeous.
Sell it to us, Spencer. Come on, sell it for the people that haven't been, for the people over here in the UK and Europe who would love to travel over to Pittsburgh. Sell it to us.
Well, it's on the river. Just the city skyline in the background. Where Philly is too. It's one of the more beautiful sights at CBP, seeing the city. But the city is so much closer in Pittsburgh. I mean, you have all the river. Yeah, you have the beautiful bridges. It's just the vibe at the ballpark too. It's almost like one of those that it feels like home, and it's kind of a shame that they haven't had a lot to cheer about over the last few years. But as Alex said, who knows what this season's going to come, and if they become buyers instead of sellers now for the first time in a long time. We'll see. No, but yeah, if you have not gone out to Pittsburgh in general, both my parents are from out there, so we go out there a good bit.
Cool.
It's awesome. Right. It's incredible out there.
My favorite part about PNC is the color coordination. The bridges in the background are yellow, and the Pirates wearing yellow, and then just like the lush green and the city skyline. It's so pretty. It's awesome. And when the Allegheny is like really clear, oh my gosh, it's really nice.
One of the better ones for sure. Real quick to talk about the series though, Alex, I think you hit the nail on the head. 3-3 sounds perfect. However, I think it's going to be tough, strictly because. But this team has fooled us all season. Yeah. When they were like, okay, this is going to happen, and they come out. It won't surprise me if they come out slow. 1, 2. The look ahead is insane. You have Cleveland coming to town as soon as you get back from Minnesota. Then you have the Yankees coming to town. Then you have a day off, and then you hit Seattle, LA, Arizona.
Right.
So it won't surprise me if these guys come in there looking ahead, which I don't blame them because that Guardian series and the Yankee series is huge. Coming off a sweep of the Dodgers at their last, I guess with the A's too. But I think they're going to be looking forward to that more than these two series. But again, this team has surprised us all season long. It will not surprise me if they end up going 4-2 or whatever. So
I think the really interesting thing will be, you hope that they bank wins early, but at the same time, they will probably get a little extra juice after the trade deadline. Whatever ends up happening. I feel like teams always, whenever their club is adding new faces, it's always like it's a reinvigoration almost. That being said, you're also facing juiced Yankees team, maybe juiced Guardians team, juiced Mariners team for sure. If you think DePoto is not going out there and just absolutely wheeling and dealing, you're crazy. Juiced Dodgers team, which I mean, that hasn't really given them anything before, but who cares? And then, Diamondbacks, whether they sell or whether they buy. I mean, these are all very scary teams already.
Yeah, and
so
until
it's
the middle of August, does it not start to get a little bit easier when we got home to the Marlins and the Nationals, and then we're straight back out to Atlanta and Kansas.
Yeah,
it's going to be an exhausting couple months.
And then home to Atlanta, and then away to the Blue Jays, and what a schedule!
Tough.
7th hardest schedule we've got. We're 7th, so it'll be tough. But I'm excited to see Tyler Phillips again. I'm really buzzing to see Tyler Phillips, and obviously being a Phillies fan, I think Pittsburgh might be a bit spicy for him, so I probably want to get one over them as well.
But this is crunch time for the Phils. This is where we're going to see. We've done it against the lower teams, which we'd hope we would, but I think for the players themselves, they're going to want to prove themselves. They're going to want to show that, hey, we're legit. And
I think Tyler's going to be a big part of these, at least these next few series. And I think that's going to be a really interesting storyline to watch. He's going to be juiced. He's going to be excited. And I know that he has been working hard on refining his pitch mix for major league hitters. And I think that is going to be a really interesting storyline to watch until at least Spencer Turnbull, who the other day I just forgot existed. And
you know what? He just said his name. I was
and Taiwan. It's like, but Taiwan I remembered, but Spencer Turnbull is also there. There is length to be had from the Phillies rotation. So I think that you'll be able to get your guys rest. You'll be able to properly kind of make your matchups what you want them to be. And I think at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm just excited. It's really fun to have so many tough series ahead, but to be sitting so well in the standings and to be so far above 500. It's been a long time since the Phillies have had this opportunity, and I don't think it's going to be,
I'm excited, but that West Coast trip with Seattle, LA, and Arizona. Look at those.
It's gonna be a long one.
Look at those start times of 10 past 3 in the morning, 2:40 in the morning.
Dave, just go to sleep early.
2:40 in the morning. But like I said, these are the games that gets exciting. The Yankees. I can't wait for that Yankees series, and the Guardians when they come to town. And this is what it's all about. Second half of the season, the run to the postseason, trade deadline in July coming up. And then by the end of July, we know where everyone's going. This is it. This is our rosters. We're all locked in. This is it's crunch time. August sets us up for September. September is the final run to the postseason. Here we go. Well, guys, that's a wrap. That's it. I'm up for this. Now I knew you guys would do it. I cannot wait for the second half of the season, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for listening. If you're watching via the podcast, the numbers are coming up again. I knew it would be a slow slog getting us back up, but the more we podcast regularly, you guys seem to be really enjoying it and listening. And thank you for the DMs and the feedback. We love doing this. It's great to talk Phillies. Guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Dave, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Absolute pleasure. There's nothing left for me to say except ring the bell. Stuart.
Ring the bell.
Spencer.
Ring the bell, baby.
Alex, take us home.
Ring the